It was important for me as audiences were brought into this world that they both felt like it was a clean entry point. They didn't necessarily need to know Star Wars backward and forward in order to enjoy it, but that fans of the franchise and of the EU and of the High Republic books would recognize a lot of things that they already knew and that they expect from this type of media. So I wanted to do both, honestly, when I approached this. And I hope that the show captures both of those audiences.
Ooh, well, my approach, I really felt like I needed to know the characters inside and out if I was going to be oscillating between them, and so I wrote really long backstories for both of them and had it as kind of like a Bible for myself that I could always reference so I could understand like their core struggles, which I felt like were already written in such a complex way by Leslye, but you know, I would just go through the scripts and pick apart subtext so I could really understand like what drove these two people. And physically, I thought about yin and yang a lot, and I thought that would just be such a fun concept to play with, you know, because yang is light and it's masculine, and yin is dark and seductive and feminine, and the interplay of those two things. I just really wanted to physically differentiate the two characters, so you kind of always knew who you were looking at. The most challenging thing was scheduling. that was the hardest thing, because you know, I'm playing two characters and throughout a day maybe I'm switching back and forth between them, and then also trying to find time to learn all my stunt choreography, not just for one of them but for both of them. And yeah, I was just always busy.
Yeah, I felt that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole time I was like, I don't know how she is doing this, but she is doing it. It was astonishing to watch, not just your performance, but yeah, the mental and physical energy that it took to execute both those performances was superhuman. I still can't believe you did it. I mean, I can believe you did it.
Stop.
It's true.
Stop.
It was important to me to utilize practical sets, puppetry, costumes that reflected the High Republic, not just Star Wars media we'd seen already for the Jedi. To utilize lightsabers that could still be used in combat, but still have a light emitting from them, which actually I didn't realize, but is really difficult to do, because in order to have the lightsaber light up and still get the light off of other people's faces, they're very, very heavy. Mm-hmm. And the amount of work that you guys were doing with the lightsabers, they needed to be lighter, like they are in the prequels, in order to do that type of sword fighting. But they were all put in later. The lights were all put in later. So we had to basically make a hybrid of a new lightsaber. Yeah. So those types of things, they were a bigger challenge, but I think that the finished product visually recalls a type of Star Wars I grew up loving, but also the type of Star Wars I was interested in making and seeing.
Yes. They have very different styles, and I think also Osha's style is kind of in a nascent place. Yeah. Which makes it opens up a big expanse for us in terms of where Osha goes, where she can go. But with May, I mean, I started by just my stunt master, my kung fu master and stunt trainer, his name is Jung-jae Lu, and he was absolutely wonderful, and he started me off with there was a circle on a cardboard box with a cross and an X, and I would just trace them over and over again until the tape in the box would be taken away, and then I would be able to do those movements in the air without any sort of guidance. And then, you know, we practiced punches and kicks and like roundhouse punches and kicks, and just slowly developed until like I had enough of a foundation to do the pick up the stunt choreography quickly, which ended up being really important, because I was 2 characters.
She's perfect because I, of course, had been a fan of hers. But The Hate U Give, I've given this answer before, but The Hate U Give was something where I felt like her performance was not only fully realized, supporting obviously the overall narrative, but that culturally it was also reflecting an environment and a climate. So it was like a performance that transcended just the narrative that was being told. And I think if you're gonna do Star Wars, you need someone who can do that. You need someone who's not just thinking about the performances and the fight choreography, even though you did all of those things beautifully and very analytically and very thoroughly. But I think you also knew how to have that 4D experience of being part of this story, but are also the larger story and what it means to so many people. I just hope I make my dad proud.
Yeah.
He passed away recently, so I don't know. I when I started working on it, he was so proud of me, and he had dementia. So as I worked on it for the following 4 years, I sort of, with dementia, you lose them before you lose them. So by the time he passed away last September, we were just putting the finishing touches on the show, and I've just felt sad that he never got to see it, because he was somebody that I really, introduced me to Star Wars. So I felt like it was a big achievement that I wanted him. I guess he is still seeing it in some ways. That was a deep answer. Probably not what you were looking for.
I'm
That's
so
the truth.
proud of her.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
proud of you too. I love you.
Yeah. What does it mean? It
Try to follow that up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, try.
It means Star Wars, I think why it's so universally loved is because it has so many spiritual messages and so many messages around what it means to be a person, how hard it is to be a person, how we're always faced with these challenges that can compromise maybe our set of ethics or what we believe in, and staying true to what you believe in can be so challenging. And there's so many forces in the world that are so much larger than us that are hard to contend with. But ultimately, if you surrender, and you surrender to the force that is larger than you, and you let that guide you, you honor yourself and the people around you.
What attracted me most to the role of Mother Anastasia was, first of all, just knowing that I was going to be in Kogonada's hands, because really, that's how I found out about it, is he called me and he said, so I'm going to do this Star Wars TV show. And I was like, Star Wars, Kogonada. Actually, Kogonada, Star Wars. It was just like win-win. And then, he began to tell me about the character, and he, we've had so many conversations over the course of our, creative relationship. And he started speaking to me about some of the things that we had spoken about, in my personal life as a mother. And I just really was interested and excited at the opportunity to play this powerful witch mother, which I really feel like is me.
Vernestra Rwoh is an elder Jedi master, revered. She has found herself in this position, this sort of liaison position between the Jedi and the Senate. She's over 116 years old, and that's really what I could relate to the most, being 116. Just kidding. I loved how straightforward she was on the page, how she just was, I think because of her age and because she sort of feels as if she's seen it all, she's just, taking care of things. And I really liked how economical she was with her energy and her time. And I love the way the character develops over the course of the season.
Mother Anastasia she represents, and she's a very powerful figure, and I guess I'll start with her powers. She wields the Force, but not in the same way as a Jedi does, or a Sith. I think what makes her powerful, and that's what kind of drew me to her as well, is that she is seeking to protect her family. You know, her coven, the Witches of Brendok, their way of life, which is in many ways threatened by the Jedi, because it doesn't exist in like, if you would say that there's sort of this binary of like what makes sense for a person who's using the Force, they don't exist in that space. And so because of that, like with any unknown, right, it's a threat because we don't understand it. And I think she knows that, and because of that, she's fiercely protecting those around her. Her powers of creation are unmatched, and that also makes her someone who needs to be very careful about what she's teaching and how she's protecting those around her.
I am so excited to be a part of this show. I am so excited for people to see what Leslye Headland has made. As I came onto the project, I obviously know about Star Wars and have seen everything, but I think going to Celebration is what really, just brought home what this means to people. I found it incredibly moving. I could not stop crying the entire weekend. Even just pulling up to like the stadium we were in, families and, all dressed up together, I just started crying. So yeah, it means a lot to be a part of the universe, and I'm so excited for the premiere tonight.
Yes, it means a lot to be a part of this. And what makes it mean the most is seeing how much it means to so many people across generations, across cultures, across any sort of defining characteristic about a human being. You'll find a Star Wars fan in every walk of life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that makes it so special. And then to get to create a world that is adding something to the universe that people haven't necessarily seen before, that's really exciting. I just can't wait for people to see it. I think I know that one of the biggest things that struck me when I joined this project was how fierce of a star we had in Amandla. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait for people to see this character that she's built. Characters, can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
These characters that she inhabited in two completely different ways, and with such not only an emotional and spiritual, you could see that she was taking an emotional and spiritual path into it, but also an intellectual path. I mean, when I stepped onto this project, I read an essay that she had, a couple essays that she had written about her characters, and I've just never seen anybody approach anything that way. And I'm so excited for people to meet her and to see what this all is about. I'd be blown away.
My character, Kaimir, is a former smuggler, trader, who kind of finds himself in this broader story with May, one of our main characters, and having to help May and her master with their mission, trying to avoid the Jedi and yeah, just accomplish what maybe the dark side has in store.
What makes your tick? Chike, poking at my sides. No. Yeah. I think it's his desire to be best, to be good. It's not an outcome which any Jedi should be yearning for. He has a desire, though, to be of use, to be of service, and he wants to fulfill it in the best ways that he can. but that is a difficult challenge.
Jackie is a young Padawan to Soul, played by the incredible and incomparable Jung-jae. She is a very talented Jedi. She is very overachieving. She's a perfectionist. She's very hard on herself, and she's just very curious and excited, and is taken by surprise with Osha, and this fascinating young woman. It feels like a huge honor, and I'm just really excited and happy and grateful that I was even considered for it.
Oh gosh, it feels like entering in a legacy, being a part of Star Wars. It feels like you're part of a generational history, which is what I'm most excited about. To have my father turn to me and say that he's excited to me be in something that he remembers watching as a young man is. It's the best gift, but it's also terrifying to live up to it in the best ways.
Ooh, it's all the feelings, but definitely one of excitement. Pride is a big one, especially taking on something that feels completely new and different. Like so proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the Acolyte. Is this a dream? What did I think when I first stepped on set? I was pinching myself because it felt surreal, to hop onto a set that's first of all practical and that has, all the elements that pays an ode to like the original trilogy. It felt like it was just an incredible special feeling. You first meet Chimere and an apothecary, basically just, for a lack of a better term, a store or a corner store that has a bunch of potions and trinkets and tools, mainly for his smuggling practices.
How do you know I had toy lightsaber duels? Who didn't?
Did you?
I did, yeah, of course, yeah. I had them as an adult.
I did them yesterday. What do you mean?
Our lightsaber training was some of the coolest aspects of being involved in this project. Yeah. I will say I coupled it with the Force training, which I felt like the two were so mirrored, or at least they coexist in the same. I was very eager to figure out how to be the best saber wielder from the get, which is very Yord, and I think it ended up with me being very frustrated with myself. And Dafne, the dear friend that she is, and just a great human being, gave me some love and support and helped me kind of find my own grounding within it, which was really invigorating, but so cool, the stuff that we learned and that we now have in our back pocket.
Yeah.
I know I can pick up a stick off the tree and throw some stuff around.
The makeup process for Jackie was completely transformative, and I honestly enjoyed every minute of it. It was a bit intense. I'd have to get up every morning at like 3:30 a.m. and then I'd drive into work, and then I'd be with my wonderful makeup artists, Jeremy and Rob, who designed the makeup look and just it sort of brought to life. There's such incredible craftsmen, and it took, we got it down to an hour and a half, which is really impressive, and it consisted in, we did the horns, we did a bald cap, we did a prosthetic over my forehead, and then we'd like put the wig over it, and then I'd have to get like airbrushed in color, and it was really just enjoyable in my hands, and I had to have like a special manicure, and it was truly just so important to have that as an actor for the character. And to be fair, I did every day when I rapped, I was ripping horns out. This was a pretty funny bog standard thing, but that apart from that, it was really fun thing to have on. Yeah.
Ooh, the food.
No, we did have a great chef.
Yeah.
Louis.
I mean, just everything. I think the thing that I love the most is that it became very much I've talked about this before, a collaborative experience. Again, Leslye, super collaborative, very much team mind frame. She delegates tasks as opposed to like being a dictator and just like trying to figure out everything on her own. And on my end, I was able to create a character with her, and it just makes it so much more special when you're able to build something with the showrunner from the ground up. Again, so much pride in it.
I think, piggybacking off of what Manny just said, it was so incredible, the team on this production, in front of the camera and behind. We had the most incredible crew, and truly we couldn't have done it without them. They were just such a huge support system to us as actors, I think, and just, so it was amazing to get to work with such incredible talents, and I just feel like we had a really good thing going as just like a little community on set. And also, of course, just the fact that now we get to say that we were part of the Star Wars family is huge, and it's kind of forever.
I think my favorite part of the funnest part, aside from both what Manny and Dafne were mentioning, which are incredible, more specifically, even though, is walking onto the sets, and it's even walking onto the sets with the costume. The costume, and just at the rawest sense, me having fun, having a robe and a lightsaber and running through a fern gully, basically. And Kofar and Kymir's, Kalnaka's, all the K's.
Let's stop saying names.
Kalnaka's land, basically. It's like one of the coolest. It was a whole set of ferns and trees and water, and there was frogs living in it. It was a whole environment. It literally did.
Yeah,
being able to just explore those kinds of things in costume with it was like this. You can't. It's just like little kid fun, Yeah, that's where we had most of our adult lightsaber battles.
Professional.
Yes.
너무 영광스러운 일이고요. 어렸을 때서부터 스타워즈 팬이었고, 그리고 또 항상 그 스타워즈 시리즈들이 나올 때마다 즐겨봤고, 그냥 팬 중에 한 명이었는데 제가 여기에 출연을 한다라는 것이 처음에 정말 믿겨지지 않았고, 지금도 역시 그 촬영을 다 한 이 아콜라이트를 홍보하고 있다는 것도 사실 아직까지 이렇게 현실적으로 잘 느껴지진 않습니다. 하지만은 이 아콜라이트를 정말 열심히 준비했고, 정말 최선을 다해서 촬영을 했고, 그랬기 때문에 그 많은 기억과 추억들을 홍보하면서 이렇게 많이 얘기할 수 있는 이 기회마저도 정말 소중하고 감사한 일인 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I feel extremely honored to be part of the Star Wars franchise. And, I was a Star Wars fan from when I was a little boy, that it feels really unbelievable that I'm even sitting here now promoting it with the Acolyte. And we work so hard on the show, work so diligently. So I am hoping that, the audience is able to see that.
트레이닝을 촬영 전에 2달 전에 들어와서 하라고 해서, 저는 사실은 그 액션 씬들이 많은 영화들을 그 전에 많이 했었거든요. 그래서 뭐 얼마나 어려운 코리오그래피가 있는지는 몰라도 나한테는 2달은 굉장히 많은 시간이다. 그래서 나는 한 달 정도면 될 것 같다라고 얘기를 했는데, 절대 안 된다고, 2달 먼저 들어와서 액션씬을 이제 다 연습했으면 좋겠다라고 해서 이제 들어와서 처음 이제 그 액션 그 스태프 분들이랑 트레일러 데모 영상을 이제 보게 됐는데, 와, 너무 첫 그 액션 시퀀스가 너무 그 코리오그래피가 아름다운 거예요. 그 동선이라든가 그 둘이서 하는 어떤 그런 장면이 너무 멋있었어요. 그래서 그 장면들을 정말 다 완벽하게 하려면은 솔직히 2달보다도 훨씬 더 먼저 와서 준비했어야 되는구나라는 생각이 들면서, 그러면서 이제 첫 액션 장면, 2번째, 3번째, 4번째 그 뒤로 훨씬 더 액션 장면이 파워풀해지는 그 프리비주얼을 영상을 봤을 때는 큰일 났다. 이거 2달 가지고 모자르구나 라고 하면서 정말 열심히 연습을 했고, 그 다음에 라이트세이버를 가지고 또 연습하는 장면에서도 실제로 불이 들어오는 라이트세이버를 가지고 연습을 하다 보니까 훨씬 더 뭐라고 해야 될까요? 그 현장감이 있다라고 해야 될까요? 그 감정 자체가 좀 다르더라고요.
So we had 2 months of training before we started shooting the Acolyte. And, you know, I've done a lot of action in the past in my career, so I thought, 1 month should be enough for me. But when they showed me like a previs video of the choreography, I thought, wow, this is so incredibly beautiful, from the blocking to the movement. And I also thought, oh man, 2 months might not be enough. And I thought, you know, the action scenes become more and more complicated, more powerful as the episodes continue. So it was something that I had to practice really hard for. In terms of the lightsaber training, we were able to do some training with the light actually coming on. So I think that really added to the realism and allowed me to focus on the acting on set.
아무래도 감독님하고 이 에콜라이트 전체 이야기와 그 다음에 소울 캐릭터에 대한 이야기, 그리고 또 다른 캐릭터들하고의 이 관계성에 대한 이야기를 나누는 게 가장 재밌었던 추억인 것 같고요. 여전히 저는 레슬리 감독님이 이 시나리오를 너무 훌륭하게 잘 썼다라고 생각하고, 본인이 상상한 그 여러 새로움과 이 스타워즈 유니버스 안에서 기존에 있었던 이야기를 굉장히 잘 혼합시킨 게 아닌가라는 생각이 들면서 정말 진짜 너무 노력해서 잘 쓴 시나리오인데 역시 촬영도 잘 마친 것 같아서 지금으로서는 너무 기분이 좋습니다.
I think it really has to be my favorite memories, like all the countless conversations I had with director Leslye about the story, about the character, and about the relationships. And, you know, when I read the script, I thought it was so fantastic because it combined an element of the freshness of Leslie's take, but also melted into the world of the Star Wars universe. So now that we've finished shooting, I really feel so grateful to have been a part of it.